Hey guys, in this video we will be installing some HR VHR heaters on the VQ 35 DE. Now just before I start this job, I just want to quickly go through why you guys want to have the HR heaters on the DE. There are a couple of reasons why I'm going with the HR ones. So basically DE heaters are cheap, cast, log style manifold. So just go straight out, straight out, straight out, and then the pipe go through to the collector right here. Whereas the HR ones, you can see, is more of a tubular design and a more of an equal length design. The goal of equal length is basically trying to create each pulse, exhaust pulse going through the collector, and then one of the pulse would create sort of like a vacuum to suck out another pulse, so to get an exhaust out of your manifold faster, and which in a simple term is just better flow. And not only that, equal length sometimes does sound better as well. That is why HR heaters are better than DE ones. Now HR and VHR heaters are exactly the same. So VQ 35 HR and VQ 37 VHR, they have the exact same heaters. Very late model 37 VHR got a slightly different style again heaters, but these ones you can pick up pretty cheap. You can pick them up for like $100 to $150, and they are a good upgrade. So yeah, that's the first reason why I'm going with basically an equal length header. And also another thing is how easy to install and the clearance, right? So you are basically installing a OEM piece. It's gonna have good clearance. It's gonna give you most of the room, whereas like a crazy aftermarket proper big thick pipe proper equal length heater, it's gonna get less clearance. It's gonna make it slightly harder to install as well. Another thing to sort of mention is the flange. So HR flange is slightly different than the DE flange. It's a bit longer. So if you go with the HR heaters, you will need to go with either HR catalytic converter CATs or HR test pipe. So basically that's the basic. Without further ado, let's jack up the car. Alright, car's all jacked up. I'm going to start off with removing the whole intake. So first I'm going to tackle the well, for the right hand drive model, the passenger side. So basically once you got the intake out, there is a little ground wire right here which is connected to the chassis. It's just a little 10mm bolt. So I'll go rid of that, and so first thing first, you need to get rid of the cover, right? So it's just a 10mm, and I end up using double spinner because I don't want to bust my knuckle. So the bottom bolt you can just reach from here, plenty of room. The top one, same, you can reach, just double spinner it. And there's one back here which you can reach as well. There's plenty of room, you can see. And there is one on the bottom, and that one I suggest to reach from the bottom of the car, which will do all of that when we take out the CATs and stuff like that. So not only that, I'm going to replace my CATs with resonated HR test pipe. So I'm pretty excited. I look forward to how this thing's gonna sound paired up with that Nismo exhaust, which is quite tame and muffled, which is what I wanted, real nice. But with this opened up a bit more, it's going to be interesting to see how this sounds. So yeah, as you guys can see, the bolt is quite small, especially the top, so not a lot of I guess contact patch with the socket, so just be careful not to round it. And they're quite seized because exhaust is hot and rusty. Alright guys, bolt snapped, which is not surprised, but yeah, regardless, the cover should still come off. I clearly cracked it. I heard the crack and the bolt was loose, snapped, but doesn't matter. Yeah, I think when you're doing your heater, you're gonna run into this a lot as well. The car only got 170,000 kilometers, which is what, like 110,000 miles or something. So it's nothing crazy, but oh well. So yeah, cover is off, and while we're up here, might as well loosen the 2 bolts on the CATs. so I just use a massive long extension. You can get those bolts from underneath, but either way it's sort of up to you. I just grab all my extensions, put it together, and use a gun to zap it. So yeah, now moving on to under the car. Here's the cats. So same process as basically installing a test pipe. Two 410mm bolts. Just crack these two loose, and then this one, which is the bracket that holds onto the transmission, the cats, 14 as well, break that loose. Here, two 14 go into trans, break those loose, and this bolt where the header is connected to the test pipe, you can easily reach from the back. So I'll break that one loose as well. It's all 14. And now basically you will need a special tool for the O2 sensor, which is a little O2 socket, just able to slide over the wire, break it loose, and then yeah, the cat is ready to come out, and then we can start tackle the exhaust manifold. Guys, I cannot believe how well this is going, eh? So you can see the stud right here. You see my finger, there's a stud right there, and then there is one down there where my finger is pointing. So these two, I just use my breaker bar basically on the angle it's on right now, which is on one of the bolt in the middle, up there, and you just easily crack it loose. And those two, these two up on the top, I don't see any issue with those two. So then this side of the manifold just left with the one at the very back. So yeah, this is the one that my socket is on, and these two you can see is already all off. Yeah, maybe this side is just really easy, and they're all just 14mm. Guys, turns out the last bolt you can even reach with the breaker bar on top. You don't even have to get under the car, you can just reach the last one. So that's all 6 bolts you can reach from the top with no swivel socket, just normal socket and the breaker bar. Yeah, this is on the right hand drive car, this is the passenger side. This side header is out. It probably took me like an hour to take this side out, including jacking up the car and all that kind of stuff, which is not bad at all. And here is HR ones, here's the DE ones. Quite a big difference. You can see even how thick the collector is on the HR and how skinny, like this little skinny boy. And also look at the diameter. So that's the DE one, absolutely tiny in there. And look at the HR, quite a bit bigger comparison DE. No wonder these HR would gain, you know, power and stuff. And yeah, when it comes to bolting up the manifold, the DE uses, well, all the other bolts remain the same, but the middle one need to be, the stud need to be shifted. So you can see the DE uses these two, whereas the HR uses the opposite two. Yeah, not a big deal. Just need to swap over these two studs, yeah, to the opposite side. This will be good to go. I've swapped the exhaust stud on the middle cylinder. So what I ended up using to take the stud out is this little 1x17 or something. Oh, no, actually 1x4. Just 1x4 little socket. Just put it on the end of the stud, and yeah, you can break it loose pretty easy. I did try using the double nut, but ends up just both spinning at the same time. Just as I thought I was able to get the heat shield out without loosening the hard line, your boy got slapped hard by the reality. So yes, I did manage to loosen the whole heat shield. You guys can see there's the manifold, the heat shield's just sitting on the angle. Yeah, it's a bit hard to see, but yeah, that's the heat shield is off, but I can't get it out. It's just not enough room. I can't get it out from the top, and I can't get it out from the bottom. Part of the reason mine is a JDM model, which is like left-hand drive. So being left-hand drive, your steering shaft is on this side instead of this side. So the heat shield is right there, but the steering shaft is in the way to get the heat shield out. And then I've already loosened that bolt, and I've drew a line trying to remove this column so to give me enough room to slide everything out. But I think it's almost easier just to remove the heater, well, not the heater, but the coolant hardline. It's going to be easier than removing this. Well, I think I'll see what I'm going to do, and either way, removing this or removing the hardline. Alright, so you guys can see I've finally got rid of the heat shield right there. So how I managed to do it is I ended up loosening my engine mount and just lift up the engine a bit, and I managed to slide out the heat shield from the top. And yeah, it was a struggle, but I did. Next is attacking all the bolts. They're all 14, and basically I can reach most of them from the top. I feel defeated. I thought lifting the motor up would give me enough clearance, but clearly not the case. So long story short, as you guys can see, I've actually managed to get most of the bolts off the manifold, actually without removing the hardline, the heater hardline at all. I've managed to reach from the top and the bottom. As you guys can see, this bolt is rounded, and that's because I couldn't get good enough angle on it, and the socket wasn't sitting super straight, and that's why it's getting rounded. I couldn't get my socket extractor on there. Well, I could, but then it keeps rounding the bolts, and then I left with no choice but removing this piece of crap, which, yeah, it's 12 mil bolts on the bottom, which are a pain in the ass. 20,000 rubber holes connect to it, and the clamp is all brittle, and I've managed to get it off. So now basically I have clearance to remove that bottom bolt and this one. Even though I got clearance, I still don't know how to remove it because it's rounded. So I'm going to take that bottom bolt and see what I can do with that one. Honestly, if you're not pulling a motor out, don't even bother with the header, like, it's too much of a hassle. Actually, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but actually my motor is still lifted right now, like jacked up from the bottom. So crazy, guys, absolutely crazy. Alright, so all the bolts are off. This is that demon bolt. You can see how rounded it is. Basically, I ended up using a socket extractor and a big spinner. So I ended up just putting it on there and then using a spinner on top, able to crack it loose. So the longer extension you have, the easier you're gonna round the bolt, because you can't have your hand in there to position the socket. So, but regardless, this is off. And being right-hand drive, don't think there is any other way other than taking the heater core out, or you can choose to take off the power steering pump, because that stud, which is the first runner, the bottom bolt is like extremely hard to get to. I have to use a spinner. I can only do like less than a quarter turn at a time. I guess at least I tried, and I found out there is no other way but to take out the heater core. hardline, not the heater core, but the coolant hardline. Now I'm going to slide the exhaust manifold out from the bottom of the car. Alright, so as you guys can see, the HR header is in there. Again, I think it's really easy or really good idea to undo the 2 engine mount bolts. So I checked out the engine just a little bit more, and I've managed to slide this in from the top. So I've tried to put it in there from the bottom, but it wouldn't work because of the heat shield, and I really tried taking the heat shield off and I just broke 2 bolts on there. So not recommending doing that, because the bolts just snap on the header. So yeah, just drop in from the top, and I'm just going to tighten all the bolts. So I'm not going to tighten it too tight, but definitely don't want an exhaust leak. Alright, everything is all tightened up. It's actually quite easy to tighten it since the cooling hardline is not there anymore. But actually the HR heat shield wouldn't fit because the shape is slightly different. Some of the hardline where the rubber soft line connect to hitting the heat shield, so I've marked out where to cut. So I'm going to get that cut tomorrow and then test fit again. As you guys can see, here's a DE one and here is the HR one. Quite different in shape, I suppose, if you look at it this way. The DE one is slightly different there, and then yeah, the HR one is generally longer too. So here's the heat shield. I've chopped this piece and this piece off, so just so it sort of clears the some of the hoses. So you guys can see I've probably cut a bit too much, but it doesn't really matter. Having a heat shield is going to be better than not having it. So look at that, look at that. The heat shield is in there. So key is again lift up the engine, so and you have a bit of room to maneuver the heat shield in place. Definitely a crucial unless you heat wrap your header. Otherwise, yes, you are gaining a better flow, but then you heat soak your engine, so you know, sort of break even then. So definitely have some sort of heat management. So yeah, this side is definitely easier. I think maybe this side I didn't need to cut nowhere near as much. It's just some of the bend of the heat shield is causing it to not really able to get in there properly, and just making it hard. So maybe you guys could bend some parts out of place, and once the heat shield is in there, you can bend it back with a plier. So either way, I'm going to tighten those bolts, 6 bolts on each header. They're just a 10mm, and start putting the test pipe, the Y pipe, you know, all of that back together. And then I'm gonna drop the engine back down and then do the heater core and all that kind of stuff. Alright, everything is all back together. Now I still need to bleed the coolant, but I just want to start the car up and see how it sounds and check for leaks. Finger crossed there's no leak, because otherwise I'll have to tear most of the stuff apart again. But putting it back together was not bad at all. It's just there wasn't anything that is really hard, or putting back everything you have taken apart basically. I think this is what we've been waiting for, and finger crossed she sounds good.